Hi, this is Kathi Quinn with Floriani. Floriani is a division of R&K Distributing, and I want to welcome you to this week's Project of the Week. Well, I hope everybody's having a great new year, and I'm actually going to do kind of an older lesson, but one that I've had several questions about. It's such a simple idea, such a simple way to do things, but a lot of times we just need a little review. And in this, I want to talk to you about the motif fills. And there's several reasons we want to talk about this. So think of a quilt block, a pillow top. Maybe you want to texture some fabric. And we're going to talk about all of these. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come up to our artwork tools. And I'm going to select a rectangle. Just going to draw myself a nice little rectangle here by holding down my left mouse key and dragging. Now, of course, we know this is artwork. Our properties box tells us so. Let me go ahead and open this little program here to help you focus your eyes where I like them to be. So right here, this tells me, Kathy, you're working with artwork. So I know that I'm working with artwork right now. And again, of course, we all know we can resize it. We can change the pin width, that's the width of the line, and we can fill it and make it a solid piece of artwork. So we know all of that is available to us. Well, we are going to transform, which is resize, and we're not going to make this huge just because it takes longer to generate things. So let's deselect maintain aspect ratio, and let's just make this a 5 by 5 inch square. And I'm going to say OK. Now also notice here, in case you don't realize, I can tell it even if I keep my program itself. So let me right mouse click right here on this line here, and let's say I want to stay, I want to stay in metric, because of course metric is a much more precise measurement. So a lot of times we do a lot of stuff in embroidery in metric, but we really think in inches. Well, look, when I go to transform, even though I've told my system I want to work in metric, right here I still have the choice to think in inches when I'm thinking about size, such as the size of this square that I want. I can tell it and have it work in inches, or vice versa, excuse me. If I had this in inches, I could say, well, I'm using something small and I'd really like millimeters. So we're going to go here, and I'm going to set this 5 by 5. So let's make it 5 inches by 5 inches. Now, let's just, for the sake of argument, somehow I didn't get that into 5. For this, I want to do, I'm going to do a quilt block here. And so I want to do everything on the embroidery machine, because remember, I'm all about the hoop. So what I want to do here is I do want to have my quilting done, and I want to put whatever design. Well, now we have our total quilter that gives me so much more flexibility when it comes to this, but a lot of times there's a few things we just want to do and we're doing it in a hurry. Now the first thing here is I am going to convert this square into a motif fill. So we're going to come along the bottom toward our one quick click wonders, and I'm going to come to my stars, which are my fills, and I'm going to come to the one that's my motif fill. I'm going to left mouse click on it, and now it's going to fill. Now in your FTC-U, which we're looking at, it doesn't have any of the special quilting fills specifically. Those are in the total quilter, but there are things in here that I really enjoy using. So first off, let me just pick the diamonds. Now this is one of my favorites. So I'm going to click the diamond fill. Now this is going to do the diamonds, and I'm going to tell them that I want the size of these diamonds to be an inch. I want these to be an inch large. So of course everything's going to scale proportionately, and I'm not going to have everything's rescalable It's going to take care of the stitch length being proper, everything that it should, even though I'm rescaling it quite a bit. So I'm going to apply. So right there I have my cross hatching for quilting. Now let's say I want to put a design here. Now I've got a couple of options, but one that I think is kind of fun is, let me come in here and I'm going to select, it doesn't matter what I select. Let's select fish. So here's my fish. Now I'm going to make my fish smaller. I'm going to show you a couple of little tricks in here. Now I'm going to make my fish smaller, and what I'm going to do with my fish is I am going to select all items, my fish and my cross hatching, and I am going to tell it to combine it. So notice it cut out my fish shape from behind the cross hatching. So now I'm going to go in here and say File, and I'm going to bring in the fish again, and what I would have normally done is I would have saved it so I would have known it was the exact size, but you're going to get the idea. We could still make it a little smaller here. I should have written down the size, but we're okay. So now that fish is going to fit right there. Now I could turn this fish into an applique, because now I'm cut out from behind my applique. Now this doesn't look so hot because I did turn it into cross hatching, but I don't have a border around it to make it look finished. So all I'm going to do is right mouse click copy, and I'm going to right mouse click and paste, and I'm just going to turn that into a run stitch. So now I have this where it looks nice and finished. Now I can change angles, I can do all kinds of things with my cross hatching back here and have lots of fun with this. Now another thing, let's go to another page. I could come in here and let's say I want to texture fabric. We have our R&K Sew Shrink fabric. Now this fabric shrinks up 30% when you steam it. So you can put this behind silk, you can put it behind organza, taffeta. Now you can't put it behind a super heavy fabric, but a regular cotton if you wanted to texture a fabric. So I could come in here and I'm going to come in, and this time I'm going to make my artwork square. I'm going to come to transform, and I'm going to make this the size, I would want to fill my hoop. If I'm making a piece of fabric that I'm going to work with, let's say I'm going to create a purse, and I want some real pretty textured fabric, and I'm going to use some silk. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say, oh, let's do this for my, I have a 9.5 by a 9.5 hoop. So I'm going to go ahead and make it 9 by 9. I'm going to make me a 9 by 9 piece of fabric, and I'm going to apply that. Again, I'm going to come into my texture fills, and that's going to take a minute to generate because that's a lot of, it's 9-inch square, but it will generate in just a moment. We'll generate our fill. Now let's fit this to screen. Now when I come in here, I can come in and look for, now the diamond fill would be perfect, but I'm going to come in and look through here, and let's just kind of look down and see what all we've got. Oh, now this is an interesting one. Okay, so I kind of like this F16. Let me just see if there's something else I might prefer. Ooh, right here. I want this one. I'm going to select this, and again, I'm going to make this fill large. I'm going to make this, again, about 1 inch. And I'm going to go to 25 millimeters. That's about 1 inch. And I'm going to apply that. And I realized those diamonds looked kind of weird one reason is I need to turn off the grid behind it so you can see what it looks like without all the extra lines. Okay, so now these are actually about an inch. Now I could make it bigger if I wanted to. I mean, you're not stuck with an inch. I could make it bigger, as big as I wanted it. Now I would take my silk, I would take my R&K sew shrink fabric, put it behind it, hoop it, and I would stitch it. Then I would shrink this up and it would shrink up in a beautiful pattern. Now I would use that to cut out to make my little evening bag or my purse. One that was adorably done was Kay Brooks did the cutest little dress, and what she did is on the top of the bodice she took a linen fabric. She used her R&K sew shrink fabric, and what she did is she used a similar type fill, only smaller, and shrunk it up. And then she also created a little hat to go with it, created the fabric, and it all looked like she had spent forever smocking that fabric up. Just really pretty ideas. You want to do an applique sheep. Let's say I want to take a sheep and I want to applique it. Well, I could take some shrink that up and use that as my applique fabric. That gives that sheep texture. These are great too on those little kids' blankets when you're trying to do different type of texture things so kids can feel the texture. There's a lot you can do by simply using and playing with these fills. Now, obviously, you're not going to do a fill that's, really tight in there because you're not going to get a good shrink. You're going to have more thread pushing that down than you are shrink. So think about it, but realize whatever you pick, you can enlarge that as large as you need, and you can fill an entire hoop with this. Then you go ahead and cut out your pieces. Think how nice a pillow would look with some texture. Use some pretty fabric, use some pretty silks, do a nice texture on a pillow with a pretty embroidery in it, and it's going to look like it's nice and quilted. Something that I really like to do is, I love those zipper bags in the hoop. Well, I use my fab foam, and what I do is I make my quilted piece of fabric. I'm going to tell you, I learned a 10-minute serger bag from Missy Billingsley, how to make a bag in 10 minutes with a zipper on your serger. That was pretty cool. But I did want the bag nice and quilted, and of course we can purchase quilted fabric, but our SoFab foam gives that, not only does it give it a nice feel, but it gives it a little protection. It makes it sturdy. So if I wanted to put an iPhone in there, put my Kindle reader, make a glasses case, and I mean this was awesome on the serger. But what I did is, again, I came in here and I pulled up, get me a new piece of paper, I pulled up here, I went ahead, got my rectangle, and I believe Missy had us cut that, if I recall, it was like, I'm going to say it was 6 by 13 inches long. And of course we've got hoops that are going to accommodate that. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say 6, and I'm going to say 13. Missy Billingsley is a baby lock educator, just brilliant, has all kinds of wonderful ideas. Let's fit this to screen. So what I did here is, again, I came in to my motif fills. So I've got my motif fill coming, a lot of space to fill. Now I came in and I did do the crosshatch. This crosshatch will look 1,000 times better without having that background on. And I'm going to make it, again, I'm probably going to make this about 30. So that's a little over an inch. I'm going to apply that. Now again, I'm going to copy it, right mouse click copy. Come on, baby. Whenever I turn on my little drawing tool, it also is a right mouse click, so I have to kind of get the timing right. Copy. Now I'm going to right mouse click and I'm going to paste that, and I'm going to turn this pasted one into a run stitch to go around the edge just so it finishes it. So now what I did here is I took my hoop, I took my fabric, I fused it onto my Sew Fab foam because one side is fusible. Then what I did is I went ahead and put a second piece on the back of my hoop. Now, a little trick that I just learned from Debbie Homer. I tell you, Debbie Homer Hofheinz, there are so many creative people you can pull from so much. We hooped our mesh, our no-show mesh, upside down. So the fusible side was facing the back. Well, I fused my back onto the back of the mesh so I didn't have to tape it or worry about it. Then we have a wonderful product that's called Appli Web Plus. It's a Quilter's Select product. I put a piece of that on the back of my Sew Fab foam, the side that's not fusible, and fused it down to the hoop. So now I've got this all in the hoop, no problem. It's all ready to go. And then I went ahead and had it do all the quilting. So now I have a beautiful piece of quilted fabric with that nice Sew Fab foam in it, so it's nice and sturdy. And now I can go over to the serger with the zipper, and in 10 minutes I can make me a beautiful serger zipper bag. Any shape or size I want. Your only limitation is your hoop. And you wouldn't have to do a crosshatch. Maybe you want to go ahead and quilt it together with one of those other pretty decorative stitches. So start thinking a little bit outside the box. Think of what all you can do to have a lot of fun. There's lots of products. There's the R&K Sew Shrink fabric. We have our Sew Fab foam. You've got your fusible stabilizers, our Appli Web Plus. We have so many products that can help you be so creative, and everything's about the hoop, baby. Everything's about the hoop. So I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. I know it was maybe a walk back in time for some of you, but I hope some of the ideas and some of the thoughts were new. I look forward to seeing y'all. I'll be in Seattle at Quality Sewing at the end of the month. We're going to have a quilting hands-on. That is a ball. You'll end up going home with a 4-block finished quilt. So I look forward to seeing y'all there. Hope you have a great week.